Well, welcome back. It's May 2nd, 2020, and I'm back in the garage working on the old Dodge. You can see I primed around the doors where I had sanded earlier and took it down pretty good to smooth, and a little bit under the seat there. This is the primer is more of rust protectant at this point in time, rather than trying to work with a finished product, but it's not too far away. It's pretty close. Here's where I'm at with the driver's door panel and the patch that we've put in. You can see I've ground the welds down and getting ready for a little bit of Bondo. Here's a shot of the repair. If I can get it into the picture. Oops. Okay. Kind of leaning over the seat and around the corner here, but this is the shot of the cutout section of the repair of the hinge. If you're wondering about the temperature gauge, what gauge that was, and that fits the 47, this is it here. This is the number, the manufacturer. I'm going to take this wing out, and also going to take this glass out. I've got new glass. I'm going to replace it. A couple things. There's a screw. It's a small one, flathead, right here. Then there was a screw up in here. Now this one was also a flathead. It's kind of long, but I don't know if that's original or not. But anyway, up inside there, I believe from what I have as far as drawings, is that those 4 silver bolts will come out, and it will take out not only the channel that supports the wing, but also the glass channel. Found this picture online. It looks like this is all together. This is just a seal that gets pulled into this one right here. I'm not sure the connection between here and here, but well, I guess we'll find out quick enough. Okay, well, this has been pretty interesting. First of all, there's a few more screw holes in the trim. Okay, had to make a flat on the Dremel tool, with the Dremel tool on the screw to get it out, and I had to cut the rubber out in order to get down to it. Now, what does this hook onto? Well, inside the door is the channel, and this screw goes right into the top of the little L that's coming off of that channel. And this channel is directly under these holes here in the door for the screw holes. So after I did that, then I took a block of wood and set it in there, and came up here and lightly tapped on it and started to get it to move and free up, and then I can see that it's coming out. So all the screws were flatheads, and the only one that was a small flathead was the one that was tucked up in this corner over here. So I'll be able to take this unit out now as a unit, and then since I've got the channel pulled, I can probably get that door out, that window out pretty easily. I know that there's some stops that I've seen in some other videos that have to be removed. I believe this is it down here, and that'll allow this this whole window to come off of these rollers. Got it up on the bench so that we can take a better look at it, and you can see how it all goes together. Over here is this hole that I was talking about, that the screw sinks into the side of the door channel, and this was where that small screw was at, and then up on top the 2 screw locations of the channel itself. Now I'll be taking this apart, putting new rubber in, taking this glass out of this channel, and putting in new glass. This one's not terrible shape. My other door is worse as far as the quality of the glass, but this is old and it's starting to show some issues with fogging of the lamination. So you may be wondering how this thing comes apart. Well, it's pretty simple stuff. This is a screw on this side that the head's been shaved. See, almost rectangularly, and then this is the keeper that fits over the top of it, and then a screw runs down into it up here at the top. So that's where that goes through. I'm sorry, over here. So this is where all that goes through, and then this goes through on the bottom into this hole, and this cam is placed on this square shaft so that you can't open the vent too far. And once you take that top bolt out, this just pulls straight through, and then this cam falls through the housing once the bolt is all the way through. This is threaded here. I'm not sure if that's used for another application on a different door or what, but there wasn't anything on it, and that may be why it was just flapping in the breeze. Because if I look over here on this drawing, and I can see you got springs and some washers, some bolts, and I did find a spring in the bottom of the door, and wondering how in the heck that got in there, and I think now I know. Well, I finally got it off there, but it sure wasn't easy. This channel, it uses a kind of a tar paper that goes around the edge, and then it's just pinched inside this rail, and it's a friction fit. So I kept tapping, and used some Windex on it for lubrication, and eventually got it freed up and loose to where I could just drive it off the end. So I used a block of wood, and then my hand clamp to hold it down, and that gave me some holding power. I certainly could have tooled up for it and made some blocks of wood, or split some wood with the saw and put it in the vise. I mean, I'm certain there's a lot of other ways around it to get it. I just Thought it ought to come off easier than that, but anyway, we did get it off. Got a shot of the passenger side door, but what I want to concentrate on is the wing and the condition of the rubber and glass and closure and all that. So I want to do a comparison. This one actually is not as bad as the other one was. This latch, it was pretty rusted and looking pretty tough. But I've been working on the other side. Here's my frame. Taking it all apart and wire brushed it all down and really got into it, and used some rust reformer on the inside, primed it, and then painted it black. This is what I was wanting to show, and this is a huge transformation from what it was, just with a little bit of brushing with some steel wool and cleaning it up. It really came along pretty nice. Here's the old glass, and there's not necessarily much wrong with it. I am going to still be replacing it with new, because I bought all the glass for new for both doors. But you can kind of see up here at the top how this radius is not it's not the same, and it kind of bevels in about where my finger is. That's to give room for the different mechanisms that's inside. It's where that pivot arm comes through, and the base for that pivot arm. So actually I was surprised, but the glass is not supposed to be around it. It has nothing to do with a quick cutting out of the glass or anything along those lines. It has everything to do with being correct. This is the mounting base that receives the rubber that that everything fits into. This is what gets directly mounted into the door. I'm going to rebuild this whole unit, make it like new, obviously, before we set it in, and then the goal is to redo the door and paint it prior to setting all those up. Okay, I'd like to document this because I've looked all over the internet and I can't find anything on it. But what I've done, you can see that you can roll this up and down with the window crank over here. And this, when you have the window here, when you have this frame out, which bolts here and here, then that frees up this window, and you can just slide it this way and it will come right off of these rollers. And then after you get that, it should not be any big deal just to pull it out of its frame. Well, here maybe. It's hard to try to do this one-handed. Switch to my left here. Well, let me figure out the combination to this thing, and then I'll be right back. Okay, this little thing right here, this stop that I pointed out before, I thought it was a stop for the rollers, and it might be, but actually the glass rolled off of the rollers this way when this big bar right here, this channel wasn't in the way. But this is this will also stop you from taking the the window out as it becomes too much to go through the channel. So that was important. The other thing that I'm going to replace anyway, so I went ahead and took them off because of the clearance issue, but this is the old brush seal. It's not much seal there anymore. And then that's not that. A couple of these pieces down here go up inside this channel. There's a little rubber bumper on each side that that supports the glass on the inside. The brush is for the glass on the outside. Then I'll show you now that I've gotten there we go. No problem. Piece of cake. I want to show these window parts. Here I've got new felt that will be put into this channel here that's on the glass, and this is the new rubber for the wing. I've already replaced one of them, and I'll show you in a minute. And this is the new brush seal that I was talking about that goes on the inside of the window. And then of course I have the new bumpers too. It's a real joy to have new components to rebuild these old trucks to bring them back to original condition. This is the wing vent itself. As you can see, I put in the new rubber into the channel. I've reconditioned the glass, the wing glass holder, or channel itself, and then polished up and shined up the wing vent here. I found a spring online that was a little bit of a fight. It wasn't the right diameter. I've had to work on that a little bit to get that to work, but I'm about ready for the glass to be put into this thing now. And I wanted to go ahead and put this back together because, you know, it's easy to take them apart. Sometimes it's hard to remember where all the little itty-bitty components go to place everything back together. I mean, there are some diagrams and help on this, but sometimes just researching that stuff can really be a nightmare to locate it. But part of the reason that I'm wanting to document this door so much is that I could find nothing on the internet to basically tell me how this door goes together or comes apart. And so hopefully this will help somebody else out along the way so that they can see what the components are and how this door goes back together. Well, it's a rainy day in the shop, or outside the shop. It's a Saturday, about 4 in the afternoon, and storm's rolling in. But things are a little more calm in the shop. See, I'm still working on the door. Got the second coat of plastic on the repair panel area. I had trying to prep this door a little bit here and take things off and get ready to sand it up and prep it for paint. And there's a little strike here that was in this area, and when I went to remove it, of course, I guess what, the bolts are all rusted and snapped off. So that that's the end result of a lot of work. Actually, I had to, there's a plate in there, I had to cut it out and pull it out, remove the bolts, put it back in, and then weld it back in. So that's coming along in pretty good shape. I'm going to attempt to install the glass in this wing assembly today. And you know, I'm not an expert here, but this is the approach that I'm taking. I'm going to fold this basically in half and set it in the channel first. Seems to be that the channel's a little more apt to hold the rubber than trying to stretch it over the glass. And what I'll try to do then is then lay the glass into the channel and spread the rubber apart as we go. We'll see how this goes. This is kind of a unique rubber. It's I believe it's a butyl strip, and it's very pliable and tarish type rubber, and it's what they used to install the glass originally in these trucks. And I had bought this tape here to install the glass in the front windshield, but I opted to go a different way. Well, approach number 2, that didn't work so well. It ended up bunching up, especially right up here in this corner, and it was impossible to get it around. So I'm going to now put it around the outside. Kind of got it taped in position just to basically hold it. And then of course I was using like a Windex type cleaner, just standard blue window cleaner, as a lubricant to help get this in. And then in my experience working with other windshield installs and things like that on other cars, well, as you can see, that definitely was the ticket. It helped quite a bit before I was having binding issues, especially in the corners. And I've just been working on this and running it down again, using the glass cleaner as a lubricant, and then my white rubber mallet. And I've got it loose from its frame so that I can not spring on the frame, but set it up against the piece of cardboard here and then pounding it down. And so that I make sure that it sets in the right position, I'll end up clamping it so that it will hold, and basically the glass cleaner will evaporate and then the butyl tape will hold it in position. But it's definitely coming together, and it's the right approach. So if anyone has any questions about which way to go about it, that would be my recommendation. So I'm pretty pleased with this outcome. I thought I'd show you what I was talking about as far as a clamp, just basically holding it in the channel. What I noticed is that it, I don't know why it's taking set, or why it still has a little bit of window glass lubricant in there. It's kind of squeezing its way back out, so this will hold it in until everything sets, and it's in pretty decent shape right now. So pretty happy. What I'll do later, take 2. What I'll do later is that I'll take a razor blade and I'll go through and trim all this up and off the glass, but I'm not going to do it right now. Again, I'm going to let it set and kind of find its home and dry out. Okay, put a little update of where we're at with the door here. You can see that the welded in patch section and everything is just about done with repair, ready for paint. Got a little rust converter on the bottom, take care of some surface rust issues. Worked all around the door on the inside and sanded it all out, get it cleaned up. One thing that I've noticed is that these clips for the door glass. They're spring loaded. So I've got a little C-clip on there that maybe you can see that's holding that spring off of that T. I'd call it a roller, except it doesn't roll. It's a slide. So I've made those to kind of pull that spring off so that we can eventually put the glass back in it. Otherwise, I've tried to fight this thing a little bit and get it to go on there, and I'm done fighting it for a temporary trial. I'll fight it for when it's good and we're ready to go. But anyway, that's the thing that I've noticed, is that since it's spring loaded like that, you have to have something to hold that spring and washer away from the edge of the panel. Let me see if I can drop it inside the door here a little bit. You can get a better shot at it. I wanted to show you the glass in the door channel so that it's all glazed, ready to go together. If you look, you can see that the felt, I put new felt back in this channel here, and the original was pop riveted in with these little bitty brass pop rivets. I used a glue, something similar to crazy glue, a little thicker than that, but I use this this rapid fuse made by DAP, and it seemed to work pretty good. And then the holes that were in the rivets, I could use that for gauging how far I was on the glass. And I think the last shot earlier was about the time that I was getting ready to put all this together, and couldn't decide whether to put the butyl tape in the channel first or on the glass first. And actually, it was only one way to do it, and that's to put it on the glass first. So let's take this and roll it around here, and then you can see the channel that I'm talking about, that those T-slides fit into. And that's why I have to have those clips that are holding this up to get that to go back together. This is the completed wing assembly that I'm getting ready to put back together. Here's a shot of the door. We've moved a little farther along, done some sanding and some priming, starting to set it back up. See, that patch came out pretty decent. We'll be flipping it over here pretty soon and starting work on the other side of the door. As always, there's plenty to keep us busy. Move in here a little farther. You can see the removal of a rusted out section of the floor. There was several pieces of steel that overlapped and then bubbling up and flaking in between there. I'm pounding all that out and cutting out again what's bad, and you can see this section had bit up here. Flip it over there. That was in that section where it was all bolted up. Sorry. It's hard to do things one-handed. Maybe if I switch hands. Well, anyways, you get the idea. That's where that section came out of, and you can see the multi-layers of steel. So what I'll probably do is I'll cut that out as a big oblong piece, and then put in a heavier section, weld everything up to it, and make a plate on the floor. Here's the area just getting ready to start the build back up on it, on the cab mount, lower left hand corner. Got a plate fabricated out of 14 gauge, and got it set pretty close anyway. Do a little more final fitting, but I'm getting ready to set it in there, and that'll be the base. Then I'll put another plate that goes around the total perimeter here up on top of it, and then that'll button that up and bring it back to where it was to start off with. It's a little smoky in the shop. Look down here. See, this is a dash pad that was underneath the truck. You can see some of it over there, a little bit charred. Caught it on fire. It's in here working, grinding away, cutting some of this rust out down here, and then the sparks kicked up on the firewall, appropriately named, and caught some of that stuff on fire, so I yanked it out of there and patted it down and got it cleaned up and fixed. This is the base plate where got the cab mount and corner all welded in, and it's doing well there. I'll show you the other side. This is the other side, and you can obviously see the difference. You can see where some of the rust is at, and how it's all built up and rusted through. If you take a hammer and you beat on that, it just crumbles up into just about nothing. So I'll be getting over toward this side here after a while and working on that. Here, I'll shoot over to this other side and you can see it maybe a little bit better. That's a 1/8 inch plate sitting on top of 14 gauge steel that's underneath of it. All that's been cut out and then welded back up, and the round circles on top of that plate are plug welds. So see that a little bit better. And then that hole that's in the center there, that's where the bolt goes for the cab mount itself. Right through here is where I was cutting out the rust from earlier when I got the firewall insulation lit up and caught on fire. So we'll keep moving along and we'll get this all welded up, and I'll bring you back after it's done. Alright, here's the first patch to go in. Cut all that out, then fabricated that patch and then laid it in, welded all around it. And then I'll replace that little section down on the post with another plate, and that'll be that. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. It's always a challenge on an old truck to decide how far to cut into it and what to try to save and what to try to patch. but I think I'm pretty happy with that. This is something that's kind of interesting, a little bit unusual. This is the original spacer that was underneath the cab in the left-hand corner. And at the time of the war, again, you know, they were pretty inventive of what to use as far as different things. And then this is a kind of a tar-soaked belt, for lack of a better term, and it's used as an insulator between the cab and the frame. And then also, I got a packet of them here. It's used as an insulator between the bed and the frame. And you can see this one here, they stacked two of them together, and it's, you know, obviously worn out, but it's getting ready to put this in the cab corner in between the cab and the, well, in this case it's a mount, a cab mount that bolts onto the frame, but anyway, as an insulator between the two. And then this bolt will go through and then basically sandwich the cab to the frame, isolate it, and keep it from squeaking. Well, I discovered something today. I think I know who the original owner of my truck was. Looks like Harm H. Doden from Winnebago, Illinois. And down here you can see 3600, which I'm sure would have been the GVW. I assume that's Harmon H. Doden. But that's pretty cool. I was sanding on this door to get ready to fix the dents in it, and this was underneath the primer and the paint that was on it. And you can see this is not for hire, which was a common thing that people put on their trucks at the time. There for a while, all pickup trucks had the owner's names on it, so that they could identify who was hauling items up and down the road. So this is what it looks like after I've got the rust converter sprayed on, so that it converts the rust into a paintable surface. Coming along nicely. Got the door on mostly just to help with fitting, and I'll be using it to hold it while I straighten out the outer door and get it all the dents taken out of it. Today is July 11th, and I'm back in the garage working on the Dodge. What I'm doing here is painting the inside of these hinges. I plan to put the door back on the truck and paint it because this is a natural hanging point. But knowing that I wouldn't be able to get up inside the hinge pockets or to the front of the hinges, I went ahead and gave them a little shot. Now, this is just standard Rust-Oleum and a dark blue. The blue that will end up going on the truck will be darker, and these hinges will end up getting for the majority coated with that darker paint, but the places that the spray can't reach, at least this gets them covered and seals them, so again preventing the rust. So that's where we're at with that. We're just waiting for it to dry. I'll wait for it to cure up a little bit, maybe probably a week before I hang the door back on the truck. I was able to find this kind of aqua colored glazing, and it's a acrylic lacquer based product. You spread it on, it's like it's a putty, but it acts like a really thick primer, and it fills all the little scratches, the little nicks and potholes created by rust pockets and surface rust and things of that nature, imperfections that are either in the bodywork or the steel, and most of it gets sanded back off, and then we go with another coat of primer over the top of this, and then it all gets blocked, and so it gets leveled out smooth. I used to use a product called Spuddy when I worked for Marshall Chevrolet in the body shop, and it's a similar product. I just had a hard time finding it, but you know, with the miracle of the internet being what it is, you can find just about everything. And this is what it is, if anyone's interested in it. Comes in different colors. I'm kind of partial to this green because it's just what I've used before and it's what I'm used to. So we'll do this, we'll get the door hung, we'll get it blocked, sanded, and what we'll end up doing is painting the door on the truck. At the same time, what I'll do is I'll paint around the door jamb, and I picked up the new seals and everything that I was missing for the door. Some other things that I got, these are basically pads that the headlight buckets rest on. It goes up here and goes underneath. And don't worry about these headlights. I've got several ones that I've purchased and found over the years, some better than the others, so I went ahead and picked them up. So I've got good headlights for that. Other little things I picked up, this little similar shaped item that goes underneath the door handle and trims that out. There's some guards there for the edge of the that go up on these corners of the hood. Then there's I'm missing a rubber bumper that goes there. I picked that up at the same time. And what else do I have in here? Oh, replacement bumpers that get pulled into here, door stops kind of things that at the door ends up hitting. It had ones that are there, but you know, they get hard and really don't cushion anything. So these little items here that are metal and rubber, that's replacement for down here on the inside fender splash panel. So that replaces that. These are the bumpers I was talking about to go on the end of the rods to hold the hood up. I think that's the majority of everything that I had in there. This I've been kind of wanting for a while. It's It's the cow lights. It's a replacement. The ones that I have are hold on just a second. Okay, here's a cow lamp, and the lamp itself is not terrible, and I can recondition pretty easily. I have worked on it before. That's actually new glass, but the reflective disc on the inside, I had spray painted it silver, and it really didn't work that well. But now I've got replacements for the inside. Obviously the wires were kind of sad shape. You can see how this one's bare almost. Well, it is just plain bare. So I can, while I'm waiting for other things to dry or whatever, I can start working on these and get these reconditioned and painted up. So that's where we're at, what we're working on. And again, don't worry about that color of blue. What I'm going to end up using is going to look a lot darker, a lot closer to black, but not black, if that makes sense. You can see the difference if you set the two side by side. So it's going to be a very, very, very dark blue. All right. Well, it's August 22nd, and we're back on this this truck, and I've got the door up on the cab, and I'm doing a little sanding, a little wet sanding of some of the repair areas that I had worked on. A little bit of spuddy, and it's an acrylic latex or acrylic lacquer putty. Heard the door creeping behind me, and I thought somebody was coming in. You can see here in this area where I've worked on repairing, there were a couple dents in there. I was just going to leave them alone and go ahead and paint the door. I'm going to paint the door, the inside of the door, the outside of the door. I'm going to paint the door jamb area all the way around, and basically get this ready and put the window back in it and the glass and everything. It's I'll back away from it here, or maybe whoops, zoom out so that you can see it's getting close. It's about ready for paint. I've shot some color on it. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a dark blue. It's not the blue that it's going to be, but it was something that I could spray on there and get it pretty close to the color. And obviously when I do spray it, it will color it to the correct color. But this way the tops of the barrels are painted and so on and so forth, and it's in pretty good shape. So it won't be too much longer, and I'll be maybe shooting some color on this. Well, thanks for watching. And some of that stuff was a little old, 2 years old or better. I've done more work on the truck. I haven't recorded as much, but I did want to document things on that door, just because, you know, I couldn't find very much on the internet to educate myself prior to taking it apart. So I thought, well, maybe here's a need, and so I'll document it. But thanks for watching, and I'll try to maybe do a little better with some updated videos a little sooner. Thanks.